Hey, it's Mike Brennan. Yes, we're still working in the summertime. And, well, we have to because today is like 100 degrees out. So who wants to go outside, right? So, anyway, we have Dan Lipsey with us today. He's the Chief Operating Officer for Supported Intelligence and also the president of the company. And he has a new product that I was introduced to just recently that intrigued me. And I thought, well, what the heck? Let's get Dan on the show to talk about it. So let's start off. He was nice enough to send me some questions that we could ask him. And here's the first one in plain English: what is MCP, and why should someone who isn't an engineer care?
Yes, so MCP stands for Model Context Protocol, but at a very high level, if you think about using an app store or even using a standard like USB-C, everybody can build to a spec, to build to a specific design so that you can connect your system to any chat interface. So MCP can work with originally was Anthropic in 2024, but Microsoft, Google, OpenAI are all using that as well. So any chatbot you prefer to use can use that protocol, that let's just say specification, like a USB-C specification, and then you can build to that and then have your system accessible through any chat interface. So it's pretty powerful because we believe grounding to reality through tools will be beneficial, and MCP gives a really good way to do that.
Okay, so tell me how connecting an AI to real tools, how do you stop it from, I guess, confidently guessing, which is the latest term for what they used to call hallucinating. You know, a standalone chatbot could write a fluent answer to a question that may be wrong that you can't audit. So how do you ensure reliability?
Yeah, it's a great question. So for example, if you want to talk to your database and you have live data in that database, it differs from talking to a chatbot and its memory because the database ultimately has real data that you can query and search, and from that MCP connection to the database, you can pull real data back and summarize it. So when you ground it to calculation engines, logic engines, databases, other systems, I mean, people use it for ticketing like Jira or Notion or Linear or other systems. The reason they do it is because, that is your system of record. So it keeps you grounded to the reality of your current state.
So let's talk about what exactly supported intelligence built. Why don't you define that? Now, remember, AI is new to a lot of people in my audience, and so you're going to have to give this in plain English versus, acronyms or anything like that.
Right. So ever since our inception in mid 2010, so as we had been building what was called the Rapid Recursive Toolbox, and that is built on what is called not MCP but MDP, which is the Markov Decision Problems space. And it used to be called dynamic programming. It was, let's just say, esoteric and difficult for decision makers to use. And we've been trying to make it more accessible to people making decisions on a regular basis. The idea is that you can model most decisions that have consequence to be recursive or sequential decision problems. And we are really clear on trying to make that accessible and basically auditable for folks. You run our models, you can run it 10 times and it'll have the same result 10 times. So it is deterministic, so it does not make up an answer based on how you phrase a question, but it will, as long as you have the same inputs, you get the same outputs. But it does track to reality of, say, economy changing and your business changing and various pieces of the world changing at once. And so the idea is you're trying to basically say, in the long term, what is the best decision for me to make or the lowest risk decision for me to make, depending on the case.
Let me follow up real quick. So, is there any way to do verification? Because I work with AI a lot, and I always insist to provide where did you get this information from so I can look at it. Because what Matt referred to, well, hallucinating, it's no longer called that, but it's essentially the same thing.
Right.
Is there some verification mechanism here?
Yes. So on the input testing side of it, you can validate that inputs are correct. So that is done as the initial phase. Even if you chat with it and you provide inputs that are problematic, it will tell you, that there's a problem. On the tail end, essentially, when you have solved it, you do have opportunity to see the actual work that was done and essentially the from here to there picture. So what we believe this can then do is, if you want sort of an audit trail and a traceability and transparency to your model, you can do that. We also feel like all of our existing models, as we work with experts and as essentially high-level circumstances change, we expect the model to continuously improve. So we do have opportunity to improve the underlying models, but in a way that is very understandable by an expert. So if you're an expert, for example, in supply chain optimization or malware risk or whatever it may be, we do have a way to improve our malware model or our supply chain type model based on your expertise. So it does work well with experts.
So how about giving us a couple of examples of how this would work? Let's say one personal one and one more businessy one.
Sure. Yeah. So I'm going to go and just share my screen briefly. First, I'm going to do one from a more of a personal standpoint first, and then I can, and then I will show the other one too. So so the first one that I have is I'm going to be using a personal example, and I'll share my screen now. With I'm going to use ChatGPT in this instance. So I'll first share now. Let's make sure I'm all good. Okay, and I have some examples here. But if I'm just going to paste this in, but it's saying I want to use my connector, or app as they call it in ChatGPT. I'm in the free version, so you can just set it up. I drive a 2018 F-150 that's 7 years old. My economy is 18 miles per gallon. Gas is around $4 a gallon. The economy feels shaky right now. I'm going to call it moderate recession. Maybe that's aggressive, but definitely if you're in the tech sector, you feel it. Should I keep driving it, sell it, replace it, cut back on mileage to save money? What should I do? And I'm actually going to remove this part. I'm just going to literally just say, use the toolbox, use the R toolbox decision model, give me the reasoning. I'm going to not choose the model because I just want to be as generic as possible and basically as sort of assume, so give me the reasoning and not just an opinion, and just use that connector. So then I send it through, and I can send it. So what it will do first, it will call the tool, which is our tool, using that MCP, again, structure, and then it will provide a grounded answer based on that result. And so you'll see if you dive in, it decided to call, specific example of a tool, and then you can see where that works. It sometimes does some checking on which tools are available, and it decided to use the auto driver sell, and it says reduce mileage, continue driving, don't sell it yet. And so it gives you essentially the option. Say, you still before your deepest depreciation curve, so keep going with it, but it will be optimal at a later stage, and then it just gives you a little bit more of a comparison in terms of cost per mile and things like that. Some of these calculations came out of essentially let's just say ChatGPT enrichment of our result, but it was based on real results, right? So the results of that model run were able to be incorporated into plain English with some recommendations that are easy to understand. So that's one example. If I want to go more of a example, and I'll maybe just play with Perplexity there, or I could use Claude. So for example, I'm going to do this. I'm in a manufacturer. Let's just do this. But I'm going to do this in Perplexity and Claude just simultaneously, just to show that. So I'm going to first, in this one again, use my connector to my toolbox. And I'm going to just say I want to demo this, and I'm just again for a live audience. Here's the real scenario. Let's just say that it's mine, machine type, how much the replacement cost is, the maintenance cost, and my reliability or uptime. So then I say run I'll just say the right model with these inputs. State the optimal action right now. I won't even give what they are. I'll just do that, and then show the replacement threshold. When should I replace it? When become optimal. Identify the variables that would change. Okay, so I'll let that run in Perplexity, and then meanwhile I'll switch over to Claude and do the same, but with a slight different twist here. So I'll just go to Claude.ai and run this on Opus, but the difference will be, oh, I see. I'm going to use this one actually because I pared it down a little bit, which is better. No naming of models, right? The idea is you shouldn't know what models we have, but it will pick the right one for you. That's sort of the beauty of it, right? It will just ascertain from your question which model is the best fit. I'm going to say the only difference is here, create an artifact that will give some options to choose from to vary the maintenance and current age and replacement cost. So that will do one of the beautiful things of working with artifacts, which are like websites and that sort of thing. And that can build that into your result, right? To kind of make it more of a demo to share with your team. Note, again, it's doing the list of the models, then it chooses the model, and I guess it says machine replacement is the right model. So it tells you this is the one that maps to this problem the best. Now it gets the card. This is just okay, now describe the card, which just means here's the stuff you need to add, and then here's your recommendations, and here, how you use it essentially as a human or also as a machine. It's kind of it's sort of a mix where you're just making it a seamless approach, right? Meanwhile, I can come back to Perplexity. It already did the run, and it just said replace it, and state. It's basically, yeah, time to replace. And you're in that stage of, it's old enough now, 6 years old, say, to that you really, you would probably replace it in 3 years in, based on the maintenance cost. So this is continuing to run, right? And it's and again, you're saying optimal action. Okay, it's giving replacement threshold. Age 4 still says repair. So let's see what the work shows. Just make sure that I have the same. But we'll see where the slider works here for the interactive demo part. So let's see, this had, just make sure I have the same numbers coming in. 15% a year and 80%, 12% discount rate. Okay. Yeah, so I can actually, what I can do in this completed steps is actually see the inputs that were shared in and can compare them to ensure that we have the same call here. So this ran it with these settings: base revenue 55, uptime, and so on. Could be that, okay, so this will actually show more of the point at which you would replace it. And so, yeah, you actually could, in this case, you could actually walk your way through the maintenance cost and see where the slider will say when to go to replace versus repair. Obviously breakdown, yeah, so versus operate. So you'll have this in terms of costs. Obviously, you could move to replace sooner. So I'll review these numbers here. It looks like 95K replacement, 18K repair, machine age 6. Yeah, that's one thing that was not passed in here, so that's interesting. That may be why this is giving a different answer. I actually don't see it has the age passed in, so I'll review that. But that will, I think this, if I did age, was it 6? Oh, I see. this had an age of 6 passed in. That would explain why it said replace. Okay, so it does match up, thankfully. It's just it was giving as your default age of 4. Or I should think, let me see, it was I forget the maintenance number, but it was at basically at repair. I'd have to map these up. But anyway, the idea is this is of course more versatile. Getting an artifact in place, you could then share that out to people and actually kind of walk through scenarios for your various machines in your operation. This one is more of a fixed setting, like what do I do with this specific aspect? I could also create an artifact in Perplexity to do the same. So the idea is just, largely speaking, you can chat with these, provide the inputs, and if the inputs are open-ended, then you can actually move a slider around to kind of determine what scenario you're in now and what you'll be in, say, in 2 years.
That's really interesting. Thanks for the demo.
Sure. I can stop sharing now.
So where do you see this going for Michigan? As a manufacturing state.
Yes. So our first area of really focusing is we've noticed a number of companies currently in the fastener space, but also farm supply and other areas that don't have direct access to their own data regularly. So they don't necessarily have that grounding source of truth, the database. What we're trying to do is, before you run, kind of get them walking to essentially have a supplier database that they can access and then they can talk to via the same protocol, MCP, from any chat interface, right? So now you can talk to your own supplier database data and provide that capability at the outset. And then further out, as you have interactions with your own data and you want to start to ask decision questions on it, we have a suite of tools that could be really catered to your needs as well. So we don't require, of course, these advanced tools to work for somebody who's using PDFs and emails and even physical books still to get their supplier information. But we feel once you have that in that place, then you can definitely make use of a lot of the capabilities we have with our decision tools as well. Not discounting, of course, human insight and judgment is kind of a key part of it. And as you have that expertise, you can continue to hone that actual model that you'll use. So for example, for farm suppliers, what I discovered was, they want you to do your ordering in the winter when it's quiet, and they'll give discounts to do that. Now, if you know what you're going to order, that would be the beauty of it, right? Would be knowing how much to order for the coming season at a discount. And so our goal is to be able to provide that decision insight once you have your supplier database fully mapped out and ready to go, in your MCP layer.
All right, so Dan, this sounds really interesting. I mean, it's much more advanced than I was aware of, and certainly I think it'd be a big help, particularly in the manufacturing world, where I noticed one of your examples is when to replace the press, right? So yeah, I think that could be really valuable information. Maybe not so much for GM or Ford, but there's a lot of tier twos out there that just don't have that kind of resources that the big boys have. So this could really help them a lot, I think. Would you agree?
Yes, yeah, we are really catering, I think, to the small but powerful suppliers and just many of those layers of either tier two suppliers, distributors, even small time manufacturers who can do a lot more with fewer people. And I think our goal is to really empower the team you have to do more with this technology.
All right, excellent. Now, how do they reach out to you to find out more?
Yeah, supportedintelligence.com is a great way. You can contact us through that, or I'm at Dan Lipsy at Supported Intelligence. It's DANLIPSY, and either way would work. But yeah, we're happy to chat and discuss further what your needs are and how we can meet those through this exciting technology.